What do you think of when you think of youth sports? Do you think of the negatives or do you think of the positives? If you think of the negatives, you probably think of these words: time consuming, competitive, dangerous. Well, 2/3 of parents say that there is too much emphasis on winning in youth sports. 87% of parents say that they're fearful that their children will suffer an injury while playing. Though these concerns are valid and sometimes these things do happen, it's important to look at the bright side and how many things children can learn from sports. Sports can teach children teamwork, strategy, discipline, an understanding of winning and losing, and even encourage a positive body image. Let's look at some statistics that show the positives of sports for youth. ESPN found that more kids go to the emergency room for traumatic brain injuries from biking accidents than from football tackles, which many people think is the most dangerous sport. The percentage of ER visits for traumatic brain injuries in football is much lower than many other sports, including soccer, baseball, hockey, ice skating, dirt bike riding, and even the most dangerous, horseback riding. While researching, I found that horseback riding was actually quite dangerous, and an ER visit is twice as likely to involve a brain injury than in football. Now, the Kaiser Foundation found in 2009 that children spent more time in front of the TV, 7.5 hours spent using media devices. So, this is iPods, this is phones, this is computers, game consoles, everything that does nothing for their physical bodies and only keeps them in a virtual world. Why aren't we just sending them outside? Why can't we put them in sports and put them in physical activities that help them to develop healthy habits and learn how to play well with others? Another statistic from the National Center of Education Statistics showed that children who play sports in high school are more likely to be academically successful, and they are more likely to graduate high school and more likely to attend college. How great is that? Let's think about how playing sports can really benefit your child when it comes down to the actual specifics. There are health benefits, there are psychological benefits, and there are even social benefits. So let's start with the health benefits. Of course, competing in youth sports helps your child to stay physically fit. Between practices and games, more than anything, it increases the interest in physical activity and can make it fun and enjoyable and not seem like a chore. It can also help teach them motor skills. When I'm thinking about a 4-year-old learning to dribble the ball down the field in soccer and learning to aim it just right to kick it in the goal, or a little boy who is dribbling the basketball, he has to learn how to bounce it with his hand-eye coordination, and those are very important for young children to learn. Playing sports can help children to lessen their likelihood of being overweight. Children who are physically active typically remain at normal weights throughout their childhood and then also into adulthood. And if we think about that in today's society, that is just lessening so much more and more with the 7.5 hours of TV that they're just sitting there. And we wonder why we have type 2 diabetes. And if you know much about type 2 diabetes, you know that it's caused by a lack of activity. So why not send our kids outside? Why not get them involved in sports and get them involved in physical activity? Another thing that can benefit their health is kids who play sports are more likely to be exercisers as adults. The habit of physical exercise starts as a young person. The more we make it a point now as a child, the more the likelihood that we will do it as adults. Let's look at the psychological benefits. It teaches you numerous life skills, like I stated earlier. You can learn time management. You can have the understanding that sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. You can learn to reduce stress and depression. Statistics show that students who play sports are much less likely to suffer from these two things. I know for me, running is very therapeutic. There's something about going out there and hitting the pavement and feeling my heart pumping and the blood running through my veins that helps me to just kind of put everything into perspective and to have the confidence that I can tackle whatever my current struggle is that's causing me stress. Leadership skills, whether your child is the team captain or just another player on the team, learning how to take instructions or how to lead your team can be great lessons for your child to learn and that they can carry on through adulthood, whether in the workplace or in family structures. Now, lastly, let's talk about the social benefits. Sports can help with drug and alcohol abuse prevention. It can create a sense of belonging, being on a team. This can actually increase a child's self-confidence and self-esteem. When you're together as a team working toward one goal. It can also create academic success, as we learned with the National Center for Education Statistics, that with their study that they found that kids who played high school sports were much more likely to graduate and to even attend college. Now we can see from a lot of great people throughout our country that sports has been an enormous blessing in their lives and has taught them so much. HP's CEO, Meg Whitman, was a four-sport athlete in high school. In her meetings now with her employees, she uses basketball terms that she learned in her youth playing sports. GE CEO Jeffrey Immelt played football for Dartmouth. There he was taught how great it was to be a part of a team that wanted to build excellence. He has carried that lesson throughout his life and his business ventures and has obviously done very well for himself. If you're wondering now how to go about and get this great opportunity for your children, well, I have just the place for you. It's called leaguelineup.com. Here you can go on and you can learn about the programs in your areas. You can search by the type of sport and also by your zip code, and you can figure out what places there are to put your children into sports programs. And you can even find reviews based on the names of these programs. One key factor to just remember for children in sports is assuring that they participate at a proper rate. Parents and coaches hold their responsibility to ensure that their kids are not overdoing it. What is good for one child may be too much or too little for another. When you are not the regulator for your child, these things such as time-consuming, dangerous, and all of these things are going to come into play. It's important to remember that you need to be there for your child and be as involved as they are. Remember, sports can teach teamwork, strategy, discipline, and many other life lessons.